Hi everybody and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So I promise this is the last time you have to look at me like this. I was looking through my iPad and I realized that I had created the best books that I read in 2016 and the worst books that I read in 2016 and had them all ready to film. And then I never filmed that video because I started filming it, my computer died, and I just never went back to it. And that's when I was going through that like weird like filming but not filming phase. So figured, you know what, I'm going to film it. If you want to watch it, cool. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine as well. So I'm going to start off with the best books that I read in 2016. These don't necessarily mean that books that came out in 2016. They're just books that I read and enjoyed. So let's just get started. The first book that I have to share with you is Falling Like Snowflakes by Denise Hunter. I read the whole trilogy in 2016 and I loved it. I read it completely wackadoosical, out of order, but that's okay. I really like the series. It's technically Christian fiction, but it's so good. And the books are all companion novels, and so like you could read them really in whatever order, like I just did. And it's actually the Summer Harbor trilogy. And like I said, it follows 3 different brothers, and it's so good. You definitely have to check it out. Then I put in The Bay at Midnight by Diane Chamberlain. You know, I love her, and I found a new favorite in this book. This was the last book I believe I read in 2016, so definitely packed a punch to get onto this list. If you haven't checked out Diane Chamberlain, just check out anything she's written. You pretty much can't go wrong. Then I read The Wedding Shop by Rachel Hawke. This is the sequel to The Wedding Chapel, which I haven't read yet, but I started reading it as an audiobook, and then I just never finished it. So I'm going to read the physical copy. She's also the same author that wrote The Wedding Dress, which I love to pieces as well. Follows alternating perspectives. It follows a girl who was like running the wedding shop, like back in, I don't know what year it was, but it was like back in the past, and then it follows someone currently now who kind of wants to reopen the wedding shop. And love stories ensue. So good. And then I read, and this book actually I got in exchange for an honest review from the Fiction Guild. Same with this one. This book is Sister Dear by Laura McNeil. This follows a woman who just gets out of prison for a murder case, but she knows that she was innocent and she didn't do it, so she kind of wants to figure out, like, who did it, but also readjust to life as is, like, going back to her daughter and things like that. This book is one of those books that you kind of want to go into, like, not with high expectations, so then, like, they go past your expectations. I know Amanda PA did not really enjoy this book. She gave it, like, 3-ish stars, but because I went into it not expecting much because she didn't like it, I went in and fell in love. So, definitely, it's kind of, like, probably a hit or miss book, but if you go into it not expecting the world, you might actually really enjoy it. So, that's that. Now this one is kind of an interesting one because this was a very polarizing book. This is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. I happen to be one that loved it. I enjoyed the nostalgia. I understand that people didn't think that Harry reacted the way that Harry would have been, but you also have to, for me, I feel like people also had to understand that Harry grew up. Just because he's not who you thought he was when he was 17, I think that kind of happens. People change and people grow up. So I didn't see it as a really bad thing that they were acting uncharacteristically because they did grow up. It was years later, so I thought it was interesting, and I liked being down memory lane and seeing all the things that could have happened if this happened, and I really enjoyed this one. Then, obviously, I had to put another Diane Chamberlain book on here, Keeper of the Light. This is the first book in the trilogy, and I read the whole trilogy, so that's why I also made it on here, because I did read all 3, and I did love all 3. So definitely another one to check out. And then One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is one of my new favorite authors. This follows a woman who is married to this guy, and he's like, they're only married maybe like, I can't remember how long they were married for, but it's like around their 1-year anniversary, I think. And he has to go do a job, so he flies off and his plane crashes. So he's presumed dead. I think it's like 3 years later, she has now found a new love. She's now engaged, and all of a sudden, her husband comes back. And she's torn with this. Do I go back to my husband? Do I stay with who I'm with? And it just like really, really makes you think. So I gave this book 5 stars. Like I said, she's now one of my new favorite authors. So definitely someone to check out, even if you don't check out this one in particular. Then The Mountain Midwife by Lori Alice Eakes. This book was such a surprise to me. I got this book from the Fiction Guild. This was one of the very first books I got from the Fiction Guild. And looking at the cover, I was like, this book is going to be awful. And I read the synopsis, and I was like, okay, I just felt like it was going to be dense. And then I read it, and I loved it. I loved it. I think I originally gave it 4 stars, but like the more and more I thought about it, this book has never left my mind. So I have switched it to 5 stars. She reminds me so much of Diane Chamberlain. This book follows a woman who lives in the mountains, obviously, and she's a midwife. I don't want to go into too much more about it, but definitely something that I think should be checked out more often. Then The Cure for the Common Breakup by Beth Kendrick. I read this book for the Booktubeathon this year. I bought this book on a whim on Book Outlet because it looked cute with ice cream, and I loved it. It's the first book in a trilogy of companion novels. I just bought the next 2, so I'm really excited to get to those. So this one obviously made it to the list. And The Undomesticated by Sophie Kinsella. Such a good book. This book, like Sophie Kinsella, I do not like her Confessions of a Shopaholic series, but give me any other book she writes, and I really enjoy it. So this made this list. Now on to the ones that were kind of disappointing. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Everybody loves this book. I do not. I could not get into this one. I pushed through, I read the whole thing, but I did not enjoy this world. I did not understand the plot. I did not understand the characters. Not for me. Overseas by Beatrice Williams. I read 100 Summers the year before by this author, and I loved that book, so I was so excited to get to this one. And then this one involved time travel and a lot of weird things, and it wasn't for me. It was really big, really dense, and I had a hard time with it. But I have not given up on her because I have 2 books behind me now that are still by her, so I'm not giving up. I think this one was just a miss. Tonight and Always by Nora Roberts. You know me. I love Nora Roberts. I bought this book because it was signed, and I was so excited to read it, and it just felt like it didn't make sense. It just felt like I just got a snippet of a story that had no rhyme or reason, and it was not good. It was not good. The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. This made this list because I loved The Wrath in the Dawn. Then I read this, and I was very lost, and I didn't connect for at least the first 75% of the book. And then I kind of got into gear, and then it was over. So, unfortunately, this was really disappointing. So it wouldn't necessarily be the worst book I read this year, but it was very disappointing. Then I read The Last Boy and Girl in the World by Siobhan Vivian, and this book I was really excited for because I wanted to read a Siobhan Vivian book because I love the Burn for Burn trilogy that she co-wrote with Jenny Han, and this one just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting something really awesome, and that's not really what I got. So, again, not the worst book, but it was very disappointing. Then This Is Where It Ends by Mariki Ninjkamp. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Again, another book that I was really, really looking forward to. This was on my wish list forever. I finally got to it, and I couldn't connect with it. I wasn't a big fan of it. And it was so disappointing because I had such high hopes. I dreamt about this book. I loved looking at this book in the store, and then I finally got it, and it fell flat. The Last Letter from Your Lover by Jojo Moyes. I have never read anything by her except this. And this has made me not really want to read anything else by her. I wasn't a fan. And I don't think I will ever pick up another book by her, unfortunately. Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger. If you know me, I loved The Time Traveler's Wife. That was such a surprise hit for me, and I loved it. And so I had been really excited to finally get my hands on this, and this was just weird. Weird. It was not a fan. And then The Heiresses by Sarah Shepard. I've read every single Pretty Little Liars book. I just read her Perfectionist duology. But this one was just a miss. It's an adult book for her. It sounds like there was supposed to be a sequel, but this one flopped so bad that there was never a sequel. So I think that says enough. And then I believe this is, last but not least, Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I was really excited to get to this. Everybody on BookTube loves it. Everybody loves the series. Everybody loves the spin-off series. I did not. So there's that. So those are the top books that I read in 2016 and the most disappointing books that I read in 2016. Again, I know this was super late, but you never know. It could be helpful for suggestions for what people would like to read next or not read next.